Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, fellow human, we have a special guest tonight, and it's the second part of the show that he comes in. He is the man with the plan, A Train from Canada, and bring the truth to your brain while everybody else is going insane. Ladies and gentlemen, a big applause for Alex Pauls.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, great to have you, man.
I'm excited, man, because I always tell everybody it's like Rob is my long lost brother from across the pond where I'm originally from. My ancestors go back to the Netherlands. So I just reached out and I'm like, man, I just want to come on and it's going to give me a reason. I'm going to make a reason to come on. And I wrote this article for you and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I figured we just go through it and it would make for a great conversation, the two of us.
Let's get it. Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Would you
So
like to read it right away?
yeah, I guess we just jump right into it. And,
Yeah.
I love your podcast. I think it's so important to go from disorganized to organized. And I had that in mind when I wrote this because the devils and the distractions is all about making our lives as disorganized as possible. And now we're going to shine a bunch of light. We're going to shine the truth on it and expose it. And it's everybody's choice what they want to do and how they want to do it going forward. But don't say we didn't try and help you.
Yeah. Right. Hit it.
Yeah, man. So a little intro here to the devils and the distractions is first of all, I love to keep it simple, stupid, because I know I'm not the smartest guy in the universe, right? But that's okay. If we keep it simple, chances are we're going to find the truth because lies are complicated. The truth is very simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to shine the light on the problems that we're having, whether we know we have them or not. And I think that's one great thing that you do is you talk about so many different things that uh, people need to actually stop and check in with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this podcast right now, what people are listening to, grab a piece of paper, sit down, and start checking in with yourself as we go through this together. What do you think about that, Rob?
I will do that too. I will do and kiss. Keep it stupid simple, right?
Keep it stupid.
Yeah, keep it stupid simple. That's what I was told with kiss. Or keep it
Yeah.
simple. Yeah, just like that.
We just keep it simple. So, one of the things that I actually do all the time, and this is one of the blessings of podcasting, is when you're talking to different people and you're meeting different people, you are checking in. You're checking in with how messages are resonating with you. We learn, you and I, we dabble in all sorts of alternatives, alternative health, alternative news, alternative media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting when you go back to the mainstream you feel so disconnected, right? You are not in that realm anymore. So I try my best not to be in an echo chamber. Like if we're always in conspiracy theory land, then we are vulnerable to not knowing what's going on out there too. So
Yeah.
I like to first ask a couple questions. So these are my questions that I like to ask. Like, is this a problem in my life? Is this problem affecting my life? Is this problem out of control, whether it's, drinking or working too much or just for examples,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to do something about this problem or do I need to do something about this problem and focus on certain areas of my life that need to be improved? And I feel like we are so distracted that these simple questions where we take those minute or 2 minutes in the day just to like check in with ourselves is this a problem in my life? I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm watching YouTube, and I can't even like pet my cat
Mm-hmm.
while the cat's trying to get my attention while I'm on the toilet, while I'm working, while I'm doing emails. Like our lives are so crazy now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So I like to think that age and experience and our circumstances in our past and present, they're all factors to consider because you and me in our 20s, we were distracted very differently than we are in our 40s and our 50s, right? We're
Mm.
chasing women, we're trying to be the coolest guys we are. Now we just are the coolest guys that we are.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, exactly.
So
We were getting wasted today. We just have to smell beer and we're wasted already.
I had one glass of wine last night. I could barely walk. I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, I mean, and just to finish off my little intro, it's
Mhm.
like, have you ever read or learned something and thought, if I could get into a time machine and give that information back to my younger self, if Rob came from now and went back to 16-year-old Rob, would would that information be the equivalent to winning the lottery? Do you ever have those moments where, oh man, but it's such a blessing when you think that it's like, it doesn't matter. That's how
Mhm.
valuable it is to you now that you would go into a time machine and you would go back in time so that you could give yourself this gift, which is worth more than $1 million.
Oh yeah.
And I just wanted to know, like, do you ever have those moments? Do you ever feel like you have that? Because I've done that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and especially with NLP. So with NLP, you dive into what would you give yourself, like 16 years old or 20 years old, as an advice with the knowledge that you have now. So what you're going to do with that is thinking about what kind of knowledge did I have then, and what kind of knowledge do I have now, and what could it do to me, to my younger me, if I have some of the knowledge that I'm gonna give myself when I was 16 or 20. And I think that would be a tremendous impact of my life. 100%. So, yes, I do. Yeah, I think about it.
And I think the blessing in that is when you're in your 30s and 40s, that's when you really do appreciate those things. In your 20s, I mean, yeah, in your 20s, you're learning a bunch of things, but you're almost like learning to survive and become an adult. Like
Yeah.
everybody thinks as soon as you turn 18, you're this adult that has all, nothing. Like you're 18 and that's it.
Yeah.
That's your age.
Adolescence.
Yeah.
Adolescence, you got then. You got to
Yeah.
skip the branch between being a puber or a teenager and getting to an adult, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
even with 25, you know nothing.
Just because you can vote, drink, put a tattoo on your body, have a sex change, whatever, it's doesn't mean you know anything. And that's kind of the incredible part of life is you need people like us, these crazy old guys saying like, don't be in a hurry to grow up because life is long. Like, I
Mm,
mean, not every day is not guaranteed, but if you look at your life as a timeline, you're the line that you're in where you're young is so small,
mm,
where you're not working, where you're not paying taxes, where you just get to enjoy being a kid. And I tell my girls this all the time, like this little piece right here is what you're in right now.
mhm.
And even then, they're almost out of it and they can't wait, right? And I
Yep.
said, look how long this part of the line of your life is. I'm like, this is, where you think you're free, but that's when you jump into the matrix, right?
Yeah. And that, well, when the matrix sucks you in, also, that you
Yeah.
don't have a choice about it.
It's interesting. And us too, like how do you and I keep moving forward because we know we're in a board game
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain rules we have to play, but we kind of know that there's some secret passages here and there now.
Yeah.
And it makes the game a little bit more fun, but we
Mhm.
still are playing this game with a bunch of these other people around us, right? That are,
Yeah.
they have different rules and we know that when we talk about the ones in the shadows, the ones that are pulling all the strings, they have different rules too, right?
Yep. And it's
So
very
these are
interesting. It's very
Mhm.
interesting because it's like playing a new kind of board game that you
Yeah.
dig into the basics. And while you have the basics done, you're going to have the same board game with other people from other countries that have the same board game with a little different rules.
Mhm.
You have to tweak a little bit, and just you are a little bit more careful with your next step because you don't know what what their participation is of the board game.
For
You can
sure.
strike, or you have to go back on that level or stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
I think we just spawned a new idea for the next article is the board game The new board game of life.
Disorganized Firmamental board game.
There you go.
Mm.
All sorts of secret passages. Write it down. We'll get that going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the form of keeping it simple, stupid, let's just do our who, what, where, when, why, and how, and we'll check in. It's a good way to intro everybody, and as we go through this, and we just keep it simple. It's very easy. Who? So, atheists, bear with me. You're coming along for the ride, and it's okay. Just pretend like what I'm saying is something else. Change my variables to whatever you need it to be, and let's go for a ride.
Mhm.
Who is doing this? The devil. The devil's in the distractions, okay? Whatever we want to call that thing. I don't even know if the devil is a good, like God. Is God even a good enough word to
Mhm.
describe something, right? Just like when we talk about gravity, how it's just this ridiculous catch-all word. It's like this but we try our best in English to try and give one word to something that could be so big and complicated, right? So here I give the title to the devil. And I like to think about when we were kids. So you got like your angel and your devil on your shoulder, and who's playing with you and who's convincing you to do what, right? So the next is, what is he doing? And I wanted everybody to see, like, the devil is distracting us from fulfilling our overall mission and our daily missions. You're, connecting with God, your wife, kids, family, friends, work, personal development, community service. So important to go out into community and spread love, resting. Think about this. To me, this was with the last one. I'm like, oh my God, that's one of the most important. He distracts us from resting, just
Mhm.
from having quiet time and recharging ourselves. And I thought, oh wow, to me that gives me goosebumps. It's like, oh, that's okay. I need to pay attention to this one. And I want everybody to think about this, because for everybody it's a different thing, right?
Mhm.
And then where are these distractions coming from? And I wrote, and to say this to everybody too, is I wrote this more for me, not to preach to you, but to preach to me, to remind me. And for everybody, it's going to be a little bit different thing. But the way I wrote this, I gave a lot of the examples of me, right? But for you, it could be different. So where the distractions coming from? And so for us, for a lot of us, it's social media, right? Social media is a huge distraction. How many half an hour, 2 hours a day? You don't even realize if you don't have one of those timers on your phone. And speaking of which, smartphones, the black mirror in front of your face all the time. We got drugs and alcohol. We have sex. I've used sex lots of times to distract me from the things that I've wanted to do in my life. And that's actually not fair to my partner,
Mm.
whether my partner knows it or not. And it's like, you have to check in with yourself, because sex isn't for distracting. Sex is for connecting. And if
Connection.
anybody learns anything from this crazy sex talk right now, it's not just a pleasure thing. It is actually a spiritual connection, and it's very important for your battery to recharge and
Absolutely.
and connect with the people that you love. Computers, video games, Netflix, YouTube, shopping. So many people like myself, if I'm feeling crappy about myself, I go shopping. I buy myself something, whether I need it or not, and it kind of makes me feel better for a little bit. And then after that feeling goes away, I'm, I'm back to where I was, and I have to check in with myself. Why? And it's painful, right? Sometimes it's painful to check in with yourself. I'll stop talking for a sec, Rob. You can join in here.
That's a scrape my voice.
Oh, okay. So when does the devil do these things? So this is such an important thing too. When you when you first awaken, this is probably one of your most precious moments in your day. It's the moment where you can be grateful for being alive, being grateful for all the things in your life. It gives you, like, the moment you awaken, you can start to meditate, you can start to pray, you can start, because you are half connected to God when you first awaken. I mean, if you look at the science behind the theta waves in your brains, like, to me, this is one of the most important moments of your day. And if you reach over and you grab your phone, it's over.
So yeah,
It's
yep.
over. And I want everybody to know that that little 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning is so golden, is so precious. Please, if you can change anything, do do that. And I am very much talking to myself right now.
Mhm.
Also, when you go to bed at night, this is a time where you can very much connect to God, connect to your spouse, connect to yourself. That those moments before you fall asleep. If you're just on your phone and then you're passing out, this is a huge opportunity wasted.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier in the washroom, you're going to the washroom with your phone now. Like that's like a normal thing, right?
Yep.
People at like after dinner, like think about how most of us we do the daily grind. We have dinner, and then after dinner we have a few hours to play with our kids before they go to bed, and we have to get up and do it the next day. That precious 2, 3 hours after dinner should not be wasted with a bunch of propaganda and distractions, and it's so important to connect very much with your family and your friends. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. And next is the how. So this is how the devil gets to you. And he tricks you with instant gratification. And I know that Rob is a big proponent for delayed gratification because you're a hard worker. You're not one of those people that just wants something handed to them instantly.
Yep.
Pleasure, temptation. For me, it's all about procrastination.
Mhm.
I I procrastinate quite a bit, and that's part of my disorganized production problems that I have. Some of the things that are going on in the world is victimhood, ignoring and silencing your conscience, childhood traumas that you have not dealt with. I don't think people realize how important it is to get professional help. And it doesn't matter what, if you were an orphan in Afghanistan or if you were a rich kid in Hollywood, everybody has traumas when
Oh
they're
yeah.
kids. And to just bury it and think that it'll just go away, these monsters get bigger and they creep up on you, and you don't even realize that. So that is a big how.
Mhm.
Creating bad habits that drain you and distract you from yourself, addiction, anxiety, and depression. These are all things that take you out of out of your body, and they get you into places where you don't need to be. Like you don't need to be thinking about the future constantly and worrying about it. That's an anxiety.
Mhm.
You don't need to be thinking about the past and being sad about, oh, I did this wrong. That's depression. And I mean, how many of us can still teleport back to like grade 6 where we did something stupid or we said something stupid and everybody laughed at us and made fun of us? And what good does that do us now, right? We have to deal with that childhood trauma. We have to move on and be be the better version of ourselves, right? We take those lessons and we go
Absolutely.
forward. Yeah. And then why is he doing it? The most important question, Rob. Why? Why does he do this to us? And spoiler alert, but no spoiler alert, we're going to save this to the end because
Ah, cool.
it's just like George Hobbes. Why the lie, right? Right? Why is he doing this to us? And I think as we go through, then we figure out, okay, this makes sense, right? And it
Mm.
should make sense for everybody, not just me, not just you, but it
Yeah,
should make,
exactly.
yeah. So anyway, I'll
It-
stop yapping for a bit so we can have a little bit of back and forth, but I just don't want
yeah, I
to.
just want to point out that I really like what you're saying because as you know, I also do coaching and I have one chapter which is called Appetite for Nonsense. And a lot of these things come in that chapter. What are you doing every single day? So, and especially what you just said. So I got, of course, other points to come to that point. From okay, now it's time for appetite for nonsense. What is the nonsense that you have? But when you dig into that, just like you said, a lot of people live in the past, think about the future, but to forget that they are in the present moment. So everything that you can change right away. So your future could be this thing that you see, your better me, for example, but the things that you did that. Don't regret it. You've been there. There's a package on your rucksack that is there for a reason. But
Mhm.
if you're gonna change, if you're gonna say, "Oh, my bad for about that period of time and stuff like that," okay, stop. Live now. Do you don't you want to? If you want to change your life, you have to stop thinking about who you were. You have to think about who you want to be in the present moment, in the future moment. That's all where magic happens. But please continue, Alex.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. And I
but
think you make a huge point about the present. And I think it took me 45 years to realize how important the present is.
Yep.
And even all the things that I've learned in the past, it's one thing to read something, it's one thing to pretend you understand something. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much a different thing to download it and have it be a part of you and truly know it and integrate it in you. And I believe that my 45th year uh living here in this reality, in this disorganized production,
Mm-hmm.
I truly understand the importance of the mindset of the present. And it's very important. So I'm really glad that you said that.
Yeah. And what I want to point out also is that a lot of people are thinking like, okay, when I have this, I will become the new me, just like finance or a new car. So they don't want to change today in the present moment. They had some struggles in the past. They worked their ass off to get to the future point of themselves, but it only happens when they have purchased or get something in the future. That means that you're not aware of it in the present. So you
Yeah.
can work your ass off to have a new car, but what about thinking and fantasizing about that new car right now? You can look at YouTube to get in a Porsche or to get in a whatever car you like, right? Impala 67. Just I love that fucking car. So if you get that sound and you get that feeling in the present moment, guess what? The future will come closer to you than it is right now when you're only thinking about, oh, I will change my life when this will be done, when there's a big bank account, when there is this. And guess what? A lot of people that achieve the moment of, okay, now I want to change, nothing happens. Nothing
Yeah.
happens because there's no friction, there's no struggle. And when there's no friction and no struggle, there's no energy. But
Mhm.
when you live in a present moment and you create that energy, something is really happening when you buy that car, when you buy that house, when you find your new girlfriend, because you already have been manifesting it and visualized visualized it in your present. That's so important, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
And I would recommend that everybody reach out to Rob. And it's so important to have a mentor, a coach to help you see the things you don't see. Like me and my wife, we've had a business coach for the past 2 or 3 years. And the business coach, the the life coach, they're there to push you close to the edge. And it's not their job to push you over the edge, but it's their job to get you close to the edge and for you to take that leap of faith. And when you show God that you're ready to take the leap of faith, He will catch you. He will give you the things that you've always wanted that you never thought that you could ever have. And that's so important. So definitely a huge plug for Rob that if anybody is kind of sitting on the fence and trying to figure out how to get to that next level, hire somebody like Rob, get them to push you to the edge, and it's going to be uncomfortable and you think it's going to suck. And then you're going to hold your breath and you're going to jump and you're going to think you're going to die. And then next thing you know, you are hugging Rob and thanking him for getting you to the point where you had to make the decision that you were brave enough to make that leap of faith. And I think that that's so important. That's the only way because human nature, the brain tricks you into wanting to be safe, into
Mm,
staying safe,
comfort
into
zone.
yeah, into your comfort zone. And that's where you die. That is where the maggots come for you and you lay in your coffin and you die. and you need somebody like Rob to grab you by the shirt, pull you out of the coffin, and say, you still got another 50 years here. Let's go. Let's do something incredible. So shout out to Rob, and definitely everybody should be working with you. So
Thank you.
here
Thank
we
you.
go. Let's continue on. So
Yeah.
my next point is the seven deadly sins. And I've been wanting to incorporate the seven deadly sins into my writing for a long time. And I don't know if anybody out there has seen that crazy movie Seven. I mean, I saw it one time when I was a kid and it like totally messed me up,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not screwing around. When we talk about the seven deadly sins, they are the seven deadly sins for a reason. And we're going to shine some light on it right now. And you're going to quickly realize good is called evil and evil is called good in the timeline that we're living in. So let's get to it. So number one on the seven deadly sins is lust. That's your unrestrained sexual desires. That's using your partner. That's going out and having sex with people as a distraction, as a coping mechanism. It is pornography, porn addiction, sex addiction. It is to medicate. When you're using sex to medicate your life, this is no longer one of the greatest gifts that is given to us as people. When you start using one of the greatest gifts of connection and love in the wrong way, the inverse, good is called evil and evil is called good. So, and I'm speaking very much to myself because I get emotional when because I know I've done this. I've used my partner to not connect, like just as a pleasure vessel. And that's, oh man, I mean, to be 45 and look back, it's like, my God, I'm grateful that my wife still loves me.
Mm.
Very grateful because we are not perfect, and we don't have to live in the past, and we can still change our present, and I can still be the best husband that's ever been. I
Wow.
still have that time, and I have that time for redemption. So to anybody who out there that's struggling with any of this stuff, like please acknowledge it and start working on it because it sneaks into your life. It sneaks into your life. These
Mm.
things aren't just oh, hey, I'm just going to be a sex addict or I'm just going to be addicted to porn right away. It's very much a habit thing.
And I'm guilty as charged for that too. And it's one of the biggest struggles I have right now. So
Sure.
and it's something that you already see on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. If you are willing to see that, if it's going to be a girl in a bikini or a guy in a bikini, I don't care. There's so much. Look at the advertising. Half naked women are presenting some products, and it triggers your brain. And when you dig into that, it's just like, well, it's not just like, but it's the same thing, maybe the same thing as smoking a cigarette is not that bad. But smoking a cigarette and then going to the joint, then going to drugs and doing hard drugs and stuff like that, it could really mess you up. And that's the same with these little distractions like the girl in bikini, or if you have a beautiful girlfriend and you walk down the beach, you see some other women, you look at that and you're not honest about yourself to, okay, I like to check out girls. So something could go wrong in your relationship when you're not honest about that. Okay, I love you to death, but guess what? I'm a man or I'm a girl and I like to look to other people, you know? So,
Yeah.
but just like you said, if that's going to fat you up in a relationship because you have to fulfill your um fulfill your needs in a different way, that's a trigger point, ladies and gentlemen and fellow human, where you have to seek some help or have to be aware of what you're doing. And one of the things I like about podcasting is when I'm podcasting, I can't be in this moment alone and do stuff like that, mess myself up, which I did in the past. And just like I said a few minutes before, the past is the past, but I can change right away in the present to get a better future. But not like, okay, when I'm done with podcasting, I'm gonna whatever, because there's no balance there. You have to make a choice for yourself to get a better life. That's it. And with that choice is made, a lot of struggle is coming up. and a lot of uncomfortable zones are coming up, just like you described, Alex. So please
Yeah.
continue. I just wanted to mention this.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say for everybody out there, like, I never used to talk about this stuff because my shame was so high. I actually, like, little confession here, I actually had to wait for my mom to die because I couldn't bear even saying these words out loud for people to hear with my mom being alive. That's how much shame I carried. And I know that I'm not unique. There's a lot of people out there with that extreme shame. So if I can be a voice for you right now, like I said, it's something extreme for me. My mom had to die in order for me to be able to talk about this because I just couldn't bear for her to know that about me. That's how painful it is. So next one is gluttony, the overconsumption of food, alcohol, drugs, um, the celebration of gluttony right now in our society, the acceptance that it's actually a good thing is so extremely offensive to me when we talk about like I'm not for um fat shaming or being against people who are or heavier or struggling. I'm not against that. But
Mhm.
to celebrate them as if they are living their best life and they're healthy, that is not that is not a healthy thing at all. To for somebody to love themselves, that's great, but we should all be encouraging ourselves to eat better, to sleep better, to exercise. Exercise is I can't believe I even have to say this because of gluttony, but exercise is good for you. It's a good thing. Mentally, physically, spiritually, you want to be in the best shape of your life so that you can live a long, healthy life. Your goal isn't to be here for 30, 40 years and die. That's a distraction. The gluttony is a distraction. So I hope I kept that one pretty simple, but the celebration of it right now in our society, I just want everybody to recognize it and see that it is not a good thing. It is a deadly sin for a reason. The
Yeah.
next one is greed. Greed is the excessive desire of power, possessions, and wealth. Now, there's nothing wrong with me and Rob dreaming and having goals for the Porsche 911, to go racing on the Autobahn, to have a beautiful home to live in. That's not greed. That's not greed. That is living an incredible life where you've been blessed because you have given so many of your gifts to the world and you received compensation for it. That's not
Mhm.
greed. But greed is power over people, hoarding possessions, not sharing your wealth, not like if the first thing I always say is if I won the lottery, the first thing I would do is help everyone around me. And I know that that's me. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's why I'm not winning the lottery. The lottery is a funny thing, right? It's
Yeah.
because all of a sudden, and money changes people. Think about this, Rob. Let's use this as an example.
Mhm.
You and me are brothers. Our parents both get killed, and our dad leaves us $10 million, a bunch of cars, properties. All of a sudden, you and I start bickering, and we start hating each other because you want this and I want this, and you have to be aware that greed and power and possessions and money change people, even people with such a strong bond like me and my brother Rob.
Oh
And
yeah.
our parents just died. And I know there's people out there that can relate with me that as soon as their parents died, their siblings went insane.
Yeah, money is one of the biggest struggles in families when it comes to heritage and stuff like that.
For sure.
Even if it's
And
like a $10 or $100 or stuff like that. So nobody cares about it until someone dies. No, that clock is for me. No, he promised me this, he promised me that.
yeah.
And you make a great point there because greed is something, just like you said, even sharing. You know, if you have a bunch of apples and you walk down the streets and you see a homeless man, why not share one?
Hmm.
It's just like the simple things. It's not like, okay, you just mentioned $10 million. You can do a lot about that. But even if it's going to be like $1,000, and if somebody said, "Hey, I'm a little bit fed up today, or things are not going that well, how can I help you?" And that doesn't mean money. It could be support, could be love, could be a listening ear. You know, somebody wants to tell their story that they had a terrible day today. that's sharing, also the sharing emotions and giving someone the the support that they need.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's one of the biggest things we encounter in our society right now: greed.
And I need to be better with this too. If I see somebody broken down on the side of the street, I should pull over.
Mm,
I know enough that I can help somebody. And I realize that not everybody knows everything about cars and whatever, but there's little things. If an old woman falls in the grocery store, you should not pull out your phone and start recording this. You should.
oh,
There's so much more to greed than just money. You should be going out into the world and sharing your love, sharing your you.
mm,
And that's how you make that impression with the world, right? That's to me, I need to be less greedy with me. Like I
mm,
need to be less on my phone and more in the community, making the world a better place. I know that I'm greedy, so I'm very guilty of this.
mm. Yeah, and that you touch base on a lot of points. I think every point that you mentioned so far, I'm I'm guilty as charged for them too. But also with when I wrote my course, it's not something like, oh, now I'm gonna tell you how to do it because I did it. No, it's still a struggle every single day. It's not something like you do that and you're done. Just like driving in a car. Sometimes you have this thing going that even if you're driving 10 years or 20 years or 30 years on the road, you still have that thing just like, oh, whoa, I wasn't paying attention for this moment, so I have to be aware every single time. And guess what you just pointed out with the woman, the lady that falls down, or the car that broke down. Imagine yourself standing there, how you appreciate that the fellow human is coming by and gives you the help or attention that you need for that moment.
For sure. It's so important. And
Mm,
yeah, I mean that gets my heart right away. And the next one too, this I'm telling you people, I wrote this for me and I just hope you can relate because I'm not calling anybody out, I'm calling me out as I write all these things, but sloth, it's so important to acknowledge laziness. And I will be one of the first people to admit that when I graduated university, I never wanted to read another book ever again. I wanted to just get a high-paying job and coast. I never wanted challenges. I just wanted to have an easy life for the next 30 years, then retire. And when I was probably in my mid 30s, I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. I am dying inside because of this sloth, because of
mm,
this laziness. You don't even know that the maggots are eating you until you wake up one day and you're taking the garbage out and you get hit with this lightning bolt and you're like, what? Why am I dead inside? Why am I dead inside? And it's because you went for the comfort zone. You didn't listen to Rob. You didn't go up to the edge. You didn't jump. Like you need to get to it's cool to be comfortable for a little bit, but we're on a hero's journey. We're all in a video game, Legend of Zelda. We are leveling up. We are on an amazing RPG quest, whether
mm,
you want to admit it or not. If you want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix, go for it. But I'm telling you, sooner or later, the day is going to come where you're going to realize, why am I so, you're going to take those 2 seconds and not medicate yourself. And you're going to break free from the devil. And you're going to be like, why am I so unhappy before you hit the drugs, before you hit the sex, before you hit the nightclub or something to distract
mm,
yourself from the death inside of you, the rotting stench of you neglecting your duties and responsibilities as a child of God, as somebody that was put here for an incredible purpose, and you are choosing to neglect your mission, to neglect your reasons for being here. I neglect my children when I use my phone. I neglect my children when I sit and watch TV. And it hurts me. And it hurts me when now they're old enough and they neglect me when I come to them and I'm like, hey,
mm.
you want to hang out? Let's play a game together. Let's go do something. And they just want to hang out on their phone. So now they're reciprocating what I've done to them. And that's almost more painful for me because they learned that shit from me.
Yeah, it's mirroring. Yeah, it's modeling.
It's really painful now. It's like, oh my God, you guys. And I know I say weird things because I'm a weird dad, but I'm like, it's okay, I'll be dead soon, and then you'll miss me. And then I walk out of the room and nothing changes, but it's true. Like some of my friends or some of my kids' friends, they've lost their dads or the parents are divorced. And it's like, I want to be active in my kids' lives. I want to be the greatest dad ever. And now it's like, oh shit, now my kids are sloth, and I actually have to be mature enough to trick them into saving them.
Hmm.
As just like I have to acknowledge the fact that I too created this monster, right? So that's my soapbox on sloth.
And it's a crazy one because laziness, the thing is, I did a lot of things for myself to get my company started and stuff like that. And then when it was done, just like, okay, now I'm gonna wait because I did so much work. No, no, no. All of a sudden you wake up just like, why am I waiting for something? It's just like fishing. Even if you have the good bait, you need to get very lucky to have a fish. But guess what? Life is not like fishing. You have to do the things for yourself. Your energy. When you reach out to someone to talk on the phone that you haven't talked to a long time, for example, if you do that, probably that person is very happy that you call. But when we're sitting here, sitting duck, and waiting for someone to call us, you can wait a long time. And just what you brought up, just like the laziness within ourselves, is also something that's the devil likes that. The laziness. Watch some Netflix instead of going for a walk. Watch some Netflix instead of connecting with people. Watch some Netflix instead of doing the best things that you can do, like workout or getting fresh meal or connect to other people, just like I said. These are so many things that I also am guilty of and I'm aware of, luckily, and that's how I changed my life. But please continue because we're on number 4, right? We're going to number 5.
Yeah, so the next one is another hard one for me to talk about, and I don't talk about it ever. So this is like my first time talking about this, but it's actually wrath, and it's the intense, uncontrolled feelings of rage, anger, and hatred. And I know that we all have these kinds of thoughts, like when we're driving, or there's a reason why most of us don't have a gun in the glove compartment when we're driving, right?
A
It's
point
not
50
as
will be good on the hood.
Yeah, exactly. So, but honestly, like I still struggle with a lot of my childhood. And that's why I wrote this article, because I need to shine the light on the traumas that I experienced and the bullying that I experienced. Not that it was so intense, but I know that my lesson was for me to stand up to my bullies, and I never did.
Hmm.
And now I face these crazy visions in my mind of me enraged and like strangling them and hurting them and actually doing something that I never would have done.
Mm-hmm.
If I could go back in a time machine, I wouldn't even do those things. But now I have this poison in me because I failed that part of the quest. I failed that part of the mission, and I need to accept the fact that I failed that part. And the
Hmm.
next time I'm confronted by people that are bullying me or harassing me or whatever, you need to not fight them, not hurt them, but you need to be assertive. You need to stand up for yourself. And most of the time, that's all the bully needs, is for you to show that you are confident enough to stand up for yourself
Yeah, with words,
with
not
words. You don't
violence.
need to engage in rage. But have you ever like been in an argument and not said the thing you wanted to say? And then like 2 days later, you're in the shower and you're like screaming in your mind, winning this argument. And you're
Yep.
just full of like anger. And it's like, oh, all these things I should have said. And you're winning the argument in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get out of the shower and you're like, well, that was totally pointless.
Yep. One of the things that we have with rage is that we're gonna raise our voice. So when you are in a very hot discussion, And everybody had that sometimes. You're getting into a hot discussion. You have your point, and the other one has a completely different point of view. You're gonna raise your voice, but when you realize that, there's gonna be and then you slow down and just talk on a normal way, you will 100% win the argument, because the other one thinks like, oh man, he's so self-confident about the things that he said, not just like now, and I'm still high in emotion. You're gonna win. And it's just like,
Totally,
okay,
Rob.
breathe in, breathe out. You know what? I think you have a great point based on this and this, but my point of view is this and that and that and that. What do you think about it? Instead of and that's the thing that we do. We are emotional beings, and emotion gets very high when you have something that's totally different from a point of view for someone else.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a really interesting test one time at work, because I was worked for a big company, and I was an electrician at the time, or maybe I was an engineer at the time. But I learned something about myself, that if I'm emotional, if I am angry, if I am stressed out, the decision that I make is completely the opposite than if I was calm and collective and technical. The same work problem. But if I'm emotional, my solution is the complete opposite of if I'm calm.
Wow.
That to me was a real eye-opener, and that scared the hell out of me, that I would actually pick the exact opposite solution. There's two solutions,
Yep.
but they're complete opposites. And I don't know, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my goodness. It is a choose your own adventure, and you get to choose what kind of crazy adventure you want to be on. Do you want to be on the adventure of wrath, or do you want to be calm, cool, technical, make the right decision? So the devil gets into us that way, right? It's you might not know it, but he'll light your fire, and next thing you know, you're going on a totally different path, right?
Yeah. And if you're in a meeting and someone, your boss is asking you something like, oh, what do you think, Alex? Or what do you think, Rob? Don't, and I'm guilty of that too. I always directly react. So what comes out is a lot of BS, probably, because you just want to interact. But take a moment, like 5 seconds, make it uncomfortable for the rest of them. So you can think about what he said, and then they're gonna, we call it like, hey, just like, come on, where's the answer? Just like, close your eyes for a second and be completely silent. Guess what? Everybody will be silent and will listen to you. Because a lot of times when we are with, it doesn't matter what conversation, when somebody's asking you something, you want to directly answer their question. But if you take a moment of, okay, what was the question? What is going to be my answer? This is going to be my answer. I'm going to close my eyes, maybe, if it's a very hard question. Everybody will get their attention to you, instead of, oh, there's blah blah, there's blah blah, there's blah blah. Just like the normal what's it called? Dynamic which you have in a conversation. In a business meeting, it's very, very easy to you hear the blah 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 all the time. Take that moment of 5 seconds. It's going to be a tremendous different way that you're going to interact with the conversation than you ever did.
For sure, yeah. For sure. So the last two are also, I mean, look at what we've done so far. We've shed the light on 5 different things, and all of them have been incredibly important that we might not think about, right? So the next one I think is very, very important in today's society, and that is envy. And I know that we are all guilty of this, right? We have that resentment or jealousy of others' marriages or money or house or car or life or friends, or like, I know people are jealous of me because I'm friends with Rob Nolkin. Sorry, but hey,
Yeah,
man, I put in the effort.
and we're both good looking. Goddamn. Alex is going to be in a new production, probably from Sean Hebler from Vika. Who
Let's do
knows?
it.
Who knows? We're gonna be the new kids on the block on podcasting. We're going to be
Yeah,
very famous. We are very famous already. So yeah,
for sure. But
I know
but
that
think
there could
but
be
think
anything.
about this, Rob. When you go on social media, what do you see? You see like TikTok, you see people with lots of money, fancy cars, and you're now taking away your power and you're giving it to this device, and you're just, whether you know it or not, you are not doing anything useful. You are not working hard. You are not putting it out there that this is what I want. You're just like living vicariously through these
Mm,
nonsense people. And meanwhile, once me and Rob get off this call, we go and we work our asses off, right? This is not pretend. We bust our asses so that we can get to the promised land.
yeah.
It's not, you know, I try my best not to sit on social media and just consume a lot of nonsense, because it
Mm,
doesn't do me any good to look at a guy in Saudi Arabia who has 30 Lamborghinis. That's not going to get me one Lamborghini, right?
yep.
It's not gonna, me wanting to be that guy isn't gonna make me that guy.
Mm.
So,
That's a very good one. And I think envy has a lot to do with materialism. So I got a new stereo. Oh, I got a bigger one. I got a new telephone. My telephone is like 5 years old now, and it's still working. It makes beautiful pictures. It's a Huawei P30 Pro, so China's looking with me. I don't care. I did a lot of dick pics in the past, so I hope they enjoy it. But also, like, the other features of the telephone. But the thing is, uh, when I woke up, like when I had to wake up a few years ago, when I had to deal with some very um, serious stuff with my body, and I wouldn't know if I'm going to get it through the day. I had to make some choices for myself. I had to change my life before it changes me, as I would say, and as I quote. But the thing is, I was looking at it, and I have a beautiful girlfriend who makes me aware of that, who mirrors me with that. Just like, is it you want that, or is it that society wants you to have that? Like, I'm successful. What my definition of successful is doesn't have to be on TikTok. Like, I got 1,000 followers, or I got like 20,000 people in my course, or I got 1 million in my bank account. You can have 1 million in your bank account and be very depressed about your life. And
mhm.
while the camera is on, you smile with your beautiful white teeth, which I don't have because I got a very sex and rock and roll life, but I don't care. I got teeth. But the thing is, we are looking at so much things on materialistic things. Uh, I think, with that said, envy is going to be a big one. If you change that, the materialistic things, and you look upon what you have and be grateful what you have, instead of want to have the other things, and just Google at India or China or whatever country, how many people are very, very happy with the lives that don't have that car that you have, that don't have a house, that don't have the loving family, and they still are, basically happy. I was in Brazil for business quite a long time ago, and what I really noticed is that people that really didn't have any money, they were laughing. And you could see that they were living in poverty. But you know
Mhm.
what? They still had each other and they were laughing. If I go to the grocery store right here, people that have everything they possibly could imagine, they walk down the grocery store with this face like, I'm unhappy. I want a bigger car. I want a better girlfriend, or better children, or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
what the? Come on. Yes,
But
good
that's the
one.
beauty. But that's the beauty of human beings, is it doesn't matter how good or how bad our life is, we will create problems that we need to solve.
Hmm.
We are problem solvers. So if you live in a mansion and you have every car you can imagine, all the money in the world, you will create a problem.
Hmm.
Whether it's cheating on your wife, whether your wife leaves you, whether you lose your business, whether these eventually something bad's going to happen. And it's almost like a necessary thing for you to learn in
Mm.
order to get to the next thing, because we are on a journey. We are on an adventure, and it's not about the destination. It's very much about the challenges and how we deal with them as we go through.
Oh
And
yeah.
I really feel like envy is such a terrible waste of time. And you really do, it's the devil distracting you from the things that are missing in your life that you I would say you truly desire.
Hmm.
The things that you truly desire should already be in your life, and the things that you truly desire, those are the things that you should be working towards. Just because you say, "Oh, I want a Porsche 911 or I want a mansion," does not mean that you actually truly desire that.
Hmm.
That could be just an envy thing where you're looking for it. My true desire in my life is for my wife and my family to be healthy, for me to be healthy, for us to love each other and to be together. And everything else is just kind of a bonus. And if I can be in my genius zone, and it's very funny, like when people say, "Oh man, I like envy you," or I'm like, why? Like, you don't envy me. I usually tell them you're probably not envying me. You're happy to see me being in my genius zone.
Hmm.
I love being here, and this is where you get to see the best of me. I don't want you to envy me. I want you to be happy for me that I get to spend this moment in front of you being the best version of myself, because I'm not always the best version of myself,
No, we
you know?
always have ups and downs. Duality is always something that's there, and even the people that have a lot of money, they were broke at one time probably, or they're going to get broke at one time. And the same thing with the car. And the thing is, if you look at what is really making you happy in your life, it's going to be just like you said: health, wealth, happiness, love. Well, you can have all these things without a mansion, without the 911 car, without a million or a bank account. You can have so much things with less. Less
Mhm.
is more. And once you dig into that, that you have a roof on your head, or you can sleep somewhere, you know, that family or friends invite you, just like, okay, you don't have a house, come to me. That's these people are more grateful than whoever. If you see what there are a lot of things going on YouTube and on TikTok about these people that live on the street that probably have nothing, and they're gonna get like people are gonna ask them like, "You have $1 because I want to get home," and stuff like that. And these people that really do not have a dime in their pocket, they give them $1, and then they give them like $100 or whatever. So there's a marketing stunt behind it, but the thing is, a lot of these people not going to spend these $100 or the $10 for themselves. They're going to put it back in their own community of the homeless people. Like, wow, I got $100. Come, we're going to do shopping. You know, you need a new coat, or you know, we're going to get some good food. They're going to share it, and why? Because they know that that's the importance of life. And even if I don't have that 911, maybe Alex is going to have a 911 within a few months. And he said, "Hey, Rob, come over and we're going to have a drive." So I'll drive in that 911. I don't have to possess it to have the feeling of it, and to have the emotions going on, and to realize, wow, it's there, right?
For sure. And for me, it would be more exciting to not just have the 911, but to have Rob sit in it and to see his smile when he punches it. Like, to me, that would fill my soul.
Oh,
Not just having the 911, but for us to laugh and go have a good time. Like, man, it's not the possession, it's that
yeah,
moment
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
somebody when you get to share something. Like, that is why when I ride my motorcycle, I ride by myself maybe 1% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have a daughter or my wife on the back of my motorcycle, because I am so happy and I am so excited to share that experience with
Mm-hmm.
them and have fun. And oh my goodness, like nothing makes you feel more alive than being on a motorcycle when you're going through the mountains. And oh my goodness, how do you explain it to somebody who's never done it, right? But
I think that's the hardest. That's the hardest task. That's the hardest
yeah,
task. I was riding out today for like 2 hours. I had new tires on it, new oil and stuff like that. And today was a beautiful day.
Oh, nice.
I got 99% for myself because I'm a little bit addicted to speed. So
You
that's
got the need for speed.
I got a need for speed. That's the racing flag right here, right? So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
it's the
Oh,
girl
that's
that.
not a Freemason floor?
No. I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe who knows? But I love. Yeah, it's like accelerating, and this is a nice one because last year I was hanging in my hammock and I went to the woods, and there's a big pond and there's a highway nearby, and I was thinking about what the things that I did and about my course and all kinds of stuff. And then I was just thinking, and I was really having a really nice divine download. I was thinking, what should I do? And on that moment, I heard a motorcycle accelerate, but really, I just like accelerate. So I did. So I changed, well, not directly, but it went on and on and on. And if I see what I do now, yeah, this is like the fish in the water. This is like what I want to do, and
Yeah.
it, do everything without any expectations, because then you're going to be rewarded. But if you have expectations about the things you do, well, it could be that you would really be disappointed about that. But if you do things like we do now without any expectations and people dig into it, people listen to you, thumbs up, give you comments, and you see the downloads grow, just like, wow, wow, without any expectations. And coming back to the question, how I, I can't I can't explain how it is to drive a motorcycle to people that never did, because it's not like driving in a fast car. It's not like the real freedom that you think you have. It's all combined. It's like,
Rob, I always say, like, when you're on a road trip in a car, you're watching, it's like you're sitting in the movie theater and you're watching the movie, right?
yeah,
Like, when you're on the motorcycle,
you're in it.
you're in the movie. You're the
Yeah,
star of the movie.
yeah,
The smells, the air, the everything. You're
yeah,
alive. Like, you're never more alive
yeah.
than
I'm alive.
you're
I'm
on.
alive. Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Oh yeah, I love my Honda.
Oh
you're
man.
gonna be. You're gonna have a Honda too, the Goldwing.
I will. Yeah. I love a Goldwing. But man, there's so many cool motorcycles, right? Like, if I could have
Yeah.
a garage, because I've been looking at some nice like crotch rockets too. I'm like, oh, it'd be pretty fun to have a crotch rocket in the mountains.
And that's funny too, because when you ask someone what's your favorite car, they would say like a Porsche or a Ferrari or a muscle car, whatever. If you ask a guy that rides, or a girl that rides motorcycle, what's your favorite motorcycle? Just like, um, can I choose more because I want to have a dirt bike,
Yeah.
what's crotch rocket? I want to have a Harley. I want to have, there are so many things. Just like, oh, just there's a lot of space in the garage where there are normally two cars are parked. Well,
Yeah.
get the cars outside and get the motorcycles like seven in a row or eight. That would be perfectly.
Oh man, well, for the cost of a Porsche 911, what's it? It's like 300 grand now. You could have a lot of motorcycles in the
You can
garage
have
for
them
300
all.
grand. Yeah, you
You
can
can
have them
have
all.
all your motorcycles you desire. Maybe, well, there's one, no, there are two which I really would like to have. The first one will be the MV Agusta 1000 RR. That's
Nice.
like 50 grand almost, I think.
Really, that much? Holy
Yeah,
smoke.
yeah. It's something like the high end stuff.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Ducati Panigale V4,
Beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
very expensive too, but I will still have like 2.5 grand or 2 grand. I will still have 2 grand to have my Harley, have my dirt bike, and I'm probably gonna have 100,000 euros left to do some funny stuff with it. To get a trip around Europe and to Canada and to America, Australia, India,
But
China.
the best bang for your buck, instead of getting a Lamborghini or anything like that, you get a Kawasaki Ninja HR2 with
Ooh,
it's got a 300 horsepower supercharger on it. I don't care who you are. You are losing to that motorcycle.
yeah, Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's green. It's like
Yeah.
this real venomous green. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's fast, just like the BMW RR 1000. That's crotch rocket too. But the Panigale I love, the MV Agusta I love. Yeah. Oh man, motorcycles. That's
Yeah.
something. Oh, oh,
We opened up a can of motorcycles here. That's
oh
oh
yeah.
man.
It's but that's the thing, right? So, and I was telling that to I think it was with Billy Bond. Shout out for these guys from the Pimp Podcast. I really had a good time with him. I was telling that I had a business relationship that I was a little bit late, like an hour later, but I called him up front. You know, I'm going to be later. Oh, no problem. He gave me like 5 minutes within the conversation, and yeah, he didn't had any appetite for talking to someone. He was closing the door already. His wife was fed up because he didn't went to dinner for the last couple of days, but it was a very awkward conversation. But then I saw on the mirroring of the window his laptop screen, which had the same motorcycle as I had. And I told him, or I asked him, hey, do you drive like a VFR 800 VTEC? And he opened up his eyes, just like there's something magic happened. This ball of energy came. Uh, Within 2 hours, we discussed a lot of things. I made the deal. His wife called like 3 times. He hanged up on her, just like, okay, honey, no, I'm still here. I'm having this great guy here, and we're talking about motorcycles and about business. So you got to hang on. Something happens when you can relate to that stuff. That's
Uh,
it's
I I think the only way I can describe it is like when you're a kid and you're playing hide and seek and you're hiding and you're waiting for somebody to find you and you're so excited, like that childhood excitement, that's what a motorcycle is. Like
like,
it unlocks the child in you, the love, the joy. That's
mm,
that to me, that's what it is. And
especially
I'm
when you
always grateful
started.
for. Oh
Especially when
yeah.
it started, it's just like, oh, there's my baby again. This is going to be the Zen zone.
Oh man. Okay, we're boring
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
with our
Okay, okay. We go back to number seven. Number
number
seven.
seven. Number seven, pride, the excessive belief that you are superior or more important than others. And I say this not lightly, that there are a lot of people in every camp. Like, I don't know if you've ever met any Christians who think that they're way better than you. And next thing you know, it's like you're not holy enough to be around them,
Mm.
right? Like, there's a lot of people guilty of pride, whether they want to believe it or not. Oh, this guy's a sinner. Like Rob's got a bunch of tattoos. Screw that guy. I don't want him around me. Like I'm better than him.
That's okay. That's okay. I like to be around with myself because I'm an Einzelganger. I don't care. But
But
yeah,
but just the fact that we are all equal. We are all equal in
humans.
God's eyes. Exactly. And what have they done with pride? They have perversed this. They have instilled the distraction that some people are more important than others.
Mm.
They're not going for equal rights. Minorities or whatever, they're not going for equal rights. They're going for special rights.
Mm.
They they want to be hired ahead of you because they don't have as many opportunities. There, all these lies. This is all the devil at work here.
Yep.
There
Yep.
is no black person that is better than me or worse than me or smarter than me or dumber. We are all equal. It's just
Mm.
we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. And yeah, diversity is great,
And
right?
we have to and we have to
Diversity
deal
of
with
the
the same
mind.
shit as a human. Or if you're Chinese, black, from Norway, from Australia, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to drink,
Yeah.
and you have to, do it all over again. And you have the same procrastination, the same stuff going on. And some people choose for a different life. That's okay. But we're all humans. And
Exactly.
that's
And
the
and,
only thing
and
that
you can do
connects
this
us.
with politics, you can do this with religion.
Mm.
Everybody's trying to fight to be the best. Everybody's trying to fight to be the man, right? Like, oh,
Yep.
we're right, you're wrong. It's like, no, we are all equal. We are just
True.
on these different journeys. And you know what? You and I, we might even have a lot of different ideas and different beliefs, and that's fine. The goal is the journey and to unlock the best versions of ourselves. And it's not my job to tell you how to get to heaven, or I know I'm going to get there, or whatever. Like, I don't have all the answers. All I know is that you and me were equal. We're listening to each other. You're listening to a goofball on a podcast tell you about this thing that he wrote for himself, and I'm hoping that it resonates with you. That's really all it is.
Amen. I love this one, Alex. I really love this one because it digs into a lot of topics that a lot of people struggling with. And a lot of people are, just like you said in the beginning, are not aware what distraction of the devil is. And you pointed out just perfectly, because there are so many things that you can think for yourself, because the change is not coming from outside. The change has to come from you, fellow human. It's not like something that somebody bumps into your door or knocks on your door tomorrow and your new life is going to be there. You have to change your life, and you have to be aware of all these distractions that the devil uh, wants to be a part of it, because there's a lot. If you go just to a grocery store, and you go, if you're riding a bike, or you go by a car, you see so many distractions before you are entering the grocery store already. Buy this. This is good. That this is green. This is that. You know, what kind of gasoline you pump in your car? There's a what's it called in America or in England, Canada? Uh, there's a better offer. Should I drive around to get a better offer? And then you go to the register to pay your gasoline, which is, by the way, too much, too expensive. But you see all these things lined up, and all of these things are just bullshit and distraction. Like, you want a cookie, you want some sugar, you want a coffee, you want this, you want coffee. Well, I want to have a normal black coffee. Nowadays, you're going to have a macadilata, caramel swirl whatever, but by almond milk, whatever. No, I want a black coffee. That's nowadays hard to find. Just a normal black dark coffee. But you don't want, no. You don't, no.
Yeah,
You,
exactly.
yeah. So, and there comes a distraction too. You want this, you want that. You're a human, so you're probably going to answer, oh, you want to have the extra fries? I think this is an American thing, right? You can have a Big Mac menu or something like that for the same price as a normal one. It's not going to happen here in the Netherlands, because we're going to eat ourselves to death. So
Yeah, they give
we
you
have,
they
if
they
you're
give you the
listening,
best value. They give you the best value. It's not the
yeah,
small, it's maybe, the extra large is the best value. That's where you get the
yeah.
most, right?
But you see that also, if you grab a bottle of I don't drink it, but like Coca-Cola, if you have a
Mhm.
small bottle like 1 liter, you're going to pay 1.99, something like that. I don't know. But if you purchase a big one like 2 liters, you only pay 9.94, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like, what? Where is this? Yeah, but because they want you to purchase that stuff. So for me, like 3 or 4 years ago, it was really fun to go out with me, because I was drinking, eating, probably doing a lot of stuff. Nowadays, I'm so boring. I love it. If I go into dinner, just like, oh, I'm gonna have the chicken salad. What are you gonna have? Well, like a tea. What? Tattoo guy, big guy. You want to have a tea, not a beer or not a wine? No, I'm fine with the tea.
Rob, it's not the food or the drink that makes you interesting. The fact that they get to sit with you and you get to talk about all this crazy stuff. That's the treasure, right? Not the
Oh yeah,
food.
yeah. But
The food is,
that's also one thing, because when you're gonna change, you have to be aware that people are going to be stopping to be in your life, because they can't head up with you. They
yeah.
they they will lose you, because they think you're going nuts on some point, or you're going to have different kind of people around you that stimulate you and support you with the things you're going through or that you want to do. And that's one of the things that I uh, it was quite hard for some time, and I still love my friends. Don't get me wrong, but I know what I have on. I know what I can do with them. And sometimes I want to be wasted and having fun time. Have a bonfire and have a drink and stuff like that. But not like 2 or 3 times in a week. Not
Right.
the
Yeah.
same uh, repetitive thing all over again. Just like once in a while, just gonna get wasted. Just like
The perfect storm.
yeah, love that. But you have to be aware, just like I said, if you change your life, you're gonna be making choices also in relationships. And one of the things I teach is when it comes to the cost of you or something, you got to stop. And what I mean with that is when you do things that are, that you don't want to do, but you're going to do it anyway, being in this relationship that's a little bit more abusive, or that's a little bit, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do within next week, next month, or whatever. And you feel like there's no friction, nothing going on. The juice is squirted out all of that relationship. You have to make a point and say, okay, am I going to continue this? And a lot of people stay together for for the rest of the world. Oh, I'm hanging around with this beautiful girl, or for the kids or whatever. But your kids will be 100% more delighted and more happy when they have two parents that have different partners and they are happy than that they're going to stick together and they are not happy and they keeping up the appearance, let's say.
Yeah,
you,
for
you
sure.
have to make a choice, and with choices comes offering, and with offering comes sacrifice. But once you go through that, magic happens. 100%.
Definitely. And I mean, just to segue into the distractions again and the things that take us away from all these things, Rob, the newspapers, politics, right?
Mm.
The TV, the social
What are
media.
these? I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah,
haven't seen them like 6 years now.
COVID. These are like, to go back to your point, like people leaving our lives. These people didn't have to leave our lives, or maybe they did. I don't
Mm.
know. It's not for me to say, because on your hero's journey, you can't bring everyone along with you for the entire journey, right? There's chapters to a book, and there's certain characters in your book that are really important. And then there's some that play a smaller role, right? And then there's some that just are meant for that chapter alone, and then you move on. And
Mm.
I feel like the COVID chapter really helped, not helped, it hurt a lot, but it closed the chapter on a lot of relationships that maybe needed to in the past, and I just didn't. I was just kind of bringing them along longer than they should have, right? Which is
Mm.
something that we tend to do too. It's like, oh, we're friends, we should be friends forever, kind of thing. And that's, if you start looking at life more as a book with different chapters, and accepting what is written into the book, good or bad, turning the page, and then realizing on this next chapter, who are the characters that are going to
Mm.
help me make this chapter the best, and who I'm grateful for in the past, but they're in the past now, and I can think back positively to them, and give them a lot of love. And I think that's what it was. I think there's like pre-COVID and post-COVID,
Mm.
especially in my book, because I lost a lot of people. And now all of a sudden I made room for all these amazing characters like Rob Nolkin again. Like, in what universe do you and me know each other?
Yeah,
Right?
is it?
I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed
Oh
to know you.
yeah. And finally we talked to each other, Alex, because it's been like I was looking at like 2 months ago, no, 2.5 months ago, when we recorded the first episode. And of course we're both former mental, from Canada. And of course Raul, shout out to Raul, because he's struggling in a bad time, because he lost a very dear friend. His nephew was it, right?
Yeah. It was his it's almost like a stepbrother, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out for Rule. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, when we went through this journey and connected to each other, just like we talked about a few minutes ago, when we just connected to each other, something happened in the universe. And, you know, just like you said with the Porsche, that you're going to enjoy it when I drive it, going to hit it, in the Autobahn, just, oh. But for me, one of the most beautiful things with that is good, that I'm going to be with you, and then I can hug you, and just like, oh man, we have been doing so many things, like, okay, uh hug each other, and feel that energy that we already have in the conversations, and in the texting, and in the messages that we send each other. And yeah, this is something that's huge, man. That's universal, and
Hmm.
not outside the dome, but the universal within us.
Spiritually, for sure.
Spiritually, absolutely.
Spiritually.
Yeah, yeah.
So, one of the things I wasn't sure if I wanted to touch on this, but I do think it's an important thing because I don't want to alienate a lot of people. I want to bring a lot of people in, and I know that a lot of your listeners are awake, but I feel like when I come on to Disorganized Productions, I want to be not different, but I want to be different. I want to be a little different than I normally am. I like the professional side of me as well, where we get to talk a lot of philosophy and we get to talk about coaching and
Hmm.
work, and it's not just conspiracy theory. I
No,
and
no,
I
no.
really I like to talk mental, spiritual, physical well-being and health with you. So I wasn't sure, but I do think that this if we just give it a little bit of time, it's important to acknowledge, like, Josh Monday and Scipio, they kind of gave me the idea of the satanic trinity,
Hmm.
and I'm like, how that works with the devil and the distractions. And I think it actually goes quite well hand in hand. And like I said at the beginning, like, the atheists, if you can hold on and hang on, you know,
Hang in there.
hang in there with me and just walk with me. I'm not trying to be better than you or preach to you, but the satanic trinity, and I know, Rob, I don't know if you've heard this term before, but we have the Big Bang theory.
Oh, is it?
So this to me, this is the top of the pyramid.
Hmm.
This is a huge evil distraction created by evil men to distract us on our missions, right? And I know
Absolutely.
you probably know where I'm going with this now. Evolution, it's evil. The lie that you and me are space monkeys morphing, like, we used to eat bananas, we used to be hairy, like we came out of this ooze. That is a distraction. That is a distraction from who we really are. And I know I'm not going to go into great details, but I promise everybody that the chicken in this case came before the egg.
Hmm.
There is no way that the egg hatched itself. There's no way that the egg created itself and took care of itself, like this baby person was came out of the ooze and took care of itself, and it grew for 18 years and it was fine. There's no If you just sit back and look at the Big Bang and evolution and how it ties in with heliosorcery, heliocentric model, where I brought this up the other day. And if you think about this, Rob, that we're flying through the galaxy, we probably fly about 12 million miles a day. 12,
Wow.
12 million miles a day in the heliocentric model. So think about this. We're on a water ball globe spaceship with
Hmm.
no protection. There's no shield, there's no armor on our spaceship. There is no armor.
Hmm.
We're just open to the air. We're open to space. And we're
Okay.
flying through the galaxy 12 million miles a day. And not only in a straight line following the sun, but we're also like going around it, right?
Oh, we're spinning.
Yes. And we're spinning too. And we've been around for billions and billions of years. Billions of years, Rob.
Wow.
Let's say we've been around for 5 billion years, and every day we travel 12 million miles. What do you think the odds are of us surviving a meteor shower? You think we would have hit a bunch of meteors by now, right? Like, I mean, we kind of know about space. There's all sorts of stuff that
Yeah.
we can smash into,
Yeah.
and people, in a movie, I just want everybody to keep it simple. Like, in a movie, you see this, like, meteor coming and it's super slow and we got lots of time and we're watching it burn up and burn up and burn up, and then we're safe. We're safe every time,
Tom
except for
Cruise
the
is gonna help it, or
right,
Matt Damon or so, or Brad Pitt. Yeah,
right,
they're gonna
exactly.
fight that. They're gonna fight that.
In the real science fact, we'll take away the science fiction, we'll play in their science fiction world. If you and I were flying 12 million miles or half a million miles,
Mhm.
500,000 miles an hour towards a meteor, and who knows how fast the meteor is flying, there's no time for anything to happen. Like it is like it's 500,000 bullets faster, like 500,000 times faster than a bullet.
Mm.
It's not this dramatic, slow thing that's going to happen.
No, no.
It's going to chop through us like, but we would be gone.
Yeah,
Why are we
like
still?
in a nanosecond.
And then not even, it's probably less than a nanosecond. We would all be vaporized. Never mind. Like they talk about this meteor hitting the dinosaurs, or
Yeah,
dude, that meteor would cut through the earth so fast that would be it. It would be
yeah.
over 500,000 miles an hour. Just think about that for a little bit, people, that we've been winning the lottery. We've been winning the lottery for 5 billion years. Every day we win the lottery because
Mm.
we haven't like smashed into something.
Mm.
These are incredible, incredible deceptions and distractions. And when they tell us that, oh, here comes a meteor, in 30 years, we'll hit this meteor. Oh, we just luckily missed it. We just luckily missed it. Dude, it's a distraction. It's all a distraction. And I implore everyone to keep it simple. Look at these things and just think about it, that you are not winning the lottery every day, flying through the galaxy. This is an evil distraction by the devil, and you have nothing to worry about. I swear to you that you are safe every day, that this world is perfect for you, and we will live here and we will enjoy the journey. So that's my little hot take on that.
Good one. Good one. Yeah, but
So
it is. It is the uh, when you pictured it, it was for me like the first time when I heard about flat Earth, just like what, how, what, and I couldn't comprehend at that time. But it's the same what you pictured now for me, just like how did I ever thought about that? And the other thing is, a lot of people, when you talk about these kind of topics, they are gonna defend something that they do not know about. So
right.
they probably gonna say you're crazy, you're ready for the loony bin, stuff like that. Okay, so what's your model based on? They don't know. It's like they told us that is like this, and that's the truth. Okay, but you have no data that's gonna tell you or tell me what your model is. But I know about your model and my model, and when I bring these together, one of them makes no sense.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about
So,
that.
and what I do is and you know me for a while now, but what I do is
Exactly.
I almost go back to elementary school and I just start thinking about these things very, very like simply, right? I just use their numbers and I tell you the story that they want. I tell it a little bit differently, but that's the story that they tell us, that we fly 12 million miles a day through the galaxy on a water ball spaceship.
Hmm.
We are a very unique water ball spaceship. Nobody else is like us. I don't know why. I mean, when the Big Bang happened, it was all a giant accident, and there was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was something, and now we just fly through the galaxy for no reason.
What about this? When there was the Big Bang, everything we look up, like the planets, the sun, and the moon, is perfectly round, right?
Sure.
Well, get to a demolition site, blow something up. What are the odds that you find a perfectly round object in that debris? What are the odds? I think,
Zero.
well, yeah, yeah,
Less than zero, probably, or
yeah,
negative, right?
exactly. But and I loved it when when you pointed out on the last conversation that we had, it's like if you are in a room with only white people, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to say there are no Indians or there are no Chinese people because I am in the room with only white people, but you can't look outside the room, right? That was your definition, right? Or that was
Yeah.
your what you were trying to say there.
Sure. Well, it was like looking at the planets and then saying, well, then that's what we are too,
Yeah, that
right?
makes no sense at all.
And we are not those things. Earth, where we live, is completely different than the sun. It's completely different than the moon. It's completely different than the stars. And we just need to unlearn so many poisonous distractions that were taught to us in, I don't want to, I mean, it's easy for me to say it's evil. I shouldn't, but in a very misguided education system. Is it misguided or is it intentionally misguiding us?
Question everything. Just
It's
question everything.
exactly.
And you
So,
need to have a find to find the plausible truth for yourself. That resonates with your gut feeling, with your heart.
right,
Please
right.
continue.
And another thing I really wanted to touch on with you too, and it's so important because you and I were entrepreneurs where we're living in this time where victimhood is being very celebrated too. And I know that when you and I grew up, and I hope that they don't Mandela affect this, but
Mm.
when you and I grew up, we watched movies like Rocky. We watched movies like that, where the underdog is this nobody. It's this filthy guy, and he works his ass off, and he, even if he loses in the end, spoiler alert for Rocky fans out there, even if he loses in the end, it didn't matter. He
Mm.
found love. He was on this adventure. He did things he never thought he could ever do. And that's why you cheered for him as hard as possible. And you didn't care if he won or lost at the end because it was that. And now we celebrate the opposite.
Exactly.
Everybody deserves it. They deserve this.
Mm.
You're black. You deserve a month to be
You need a
worshiped.
new toilet because you're LGBTQ whatever.
Right.
Well, how do you how do you live if you're in a family and there's only one or two toilets available, like the normal homes, where mom and dad and your sissy and your brother is gonna pee on and take a shit on. That you're
Right.
gonna get outside, what's
The,
that? And guess what?
the,
All these toilets are made in the same in on the same company. There are just it's not like we're gonna invent a new toilet for these people because they stand up shitting and sitting down peeing. No, no, no. It's all the same stuff. It's all the same
the,
stuff.
the least interesting things about us are our physical characteristics.
Yeah.
I don't care that Rob Nolkin is appearing to be a white person. I don't care that Rob Nolkin is even appearing to be a man. I think Rob Nolkin, the person, the cultural and timely amalgamation of the human that he is now is what makes Rob Nolkin interesting to me. That's why I want to know him. I could care less if he was Spanish, Hindu,
Mm.
and Antarctic seal blubber eating person, whatever, man. It's like I need to know who this guy is because of the adventures that he's been on and the
Mm.
adventures that he plans to be on. And if I'm cool enough to come along on those adventures for another chapter or two, awesome.
Yeah.
But just getting back to it, like, you don't deserve anything. I don't care if you don't like that's what I'm saying right now. I want everybody to hear me. You deserve absolutely nothing in your life. You earn things. You
Mm.
work hard for things. You plan. You strategically do things. And sometimes you get lucky because, and I use lucky in quotes, sometimes you get lucky because of a lot of the different efforts and a lot of the different things that you've done. And then things start to kind of come a little bit easier and you're in your genius zone.
Mm.
So, yeah, sometimes life will throw you a bone. And then once you're on the top of the mountain, guess what? All of a sudden, somebody dies in your life,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or something bad happens, and that's okay. It's not that God hates you or God forgot about you or that you didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve that to happen to you.
Mm,
Everything happens for you. It happens for you for a reason, and it's going to keep happening to you if you fail the learning, if you
mm,
fail the test, if you fail the challenge, that shit is going to happen to you again. And then you have the choice to correctly or incorrectly, it's a matter of perspective, but you have your free will and you get to choose how you are going to put these pieces of the life puzzle together in order to get to those next steps. And yes, I'm a 45-year-old guy saying this. It took me 45 years to realize a bunch of these things. I'm saying this so much to you that if this could be your lottery ticket and you're 16 or 17 years old right now, you're listening to me and you download it and you understand it and you realize that what I'm saying is the truth, holy smokes, there's nothing that's going to be able to stop you if you take this information going
excellent.
forward because you don't deserve anything. You either work hard for it or not, but you go into your genius zone. You find your genius zone, and the more time you spend in there, the easier things will come to you as
Mm,
well.
well said. Well said, Alex. Well said. And that, just like what I said in the beginning, just like if you have no expectations, everything is a gift that's more than what you expected, right? Because
Mhm.
when you have no
Yeah.
expectations, everything that comes, even if it's going to be $1, if you have a new business, just like wow, but if you want to say I'm going to start a business, I don't want to make 100,000 euros a year, for example. What about when you made 80,000, which is probably 40,000 or 60,000 more than you did normally in a normal 9 to 5 job? Are you disappointed about that? No, but you had some expectations, and when you have them, you could get very upset about these expectations because guess what? Nothing comes knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And when you do the things what Alex said, things are going to be totally different, and they you're going to have reward in life on several things, on several levels. And why? Because you work your ass off without expectations. And if you're just like you said in the genius zone, and please explain for the listeners your genius zone because I love that one. And it's so true. It's so true, Alex. Please tell
It's
the listeners what you mean with the genius zone.
so the genius zone is a very interesting thing. A lot of it comes down to delayed gratification. A lot of it comes self learning. But before I get into the genius zone, all the times where I've done all the hard work ahead of time and expected nothing, when I got into a position in work where things were going good, even I took that for granted because I had done all that work ahead of time. And then next thing you know, I'm in a role and I'm making a lot of money and not working very hard. Anytime I've ever made a lot of money, I physically and mentally worked less hard than I ever have to in the past. I've had to work way harder for way less money, if
Mm,
that makes sense to anybody. But this is where the genius zone and planning and constructing and building leads you into this zone where it's a lot of delayed gratification, it's a lot of self-learning, it's a lot of being with the things that interest you, that light you up, that you get to nerd on, that you get to share with. I'm like a Swiss Army knife. So I actually have a really hard time with my genius zone because I feel like I'm pretty good at a lot of things. And I take my genius zone for granted, which
mm,
is, I believe one of my genius zones is inspiring and consulting with people. I can help people find the things, but I don't want to be a coach, which is kind of funny. But I don't want to be like, I mean, I would be a mentor or I don't know. I have to get out of my own way, and I know that I could help a lot of people too. But I think, and that's why I said, like, Rob, you're such an important person in a lot of people's lives. Like, it's very important to have a coach because a coach is somebody who has figured out a lot of the things and they're now living in their genius zone and they've they're helping other people figure out their genius zones. So my genius zone is relationships, it's love, it's communication, it's working with my hands, being very creative, and I can do these things for a short amount of times, and then I have to go and recharge my battery and be
Mm.
very, very still and very quiet. And that's how I know I've been in my genius zone. If you're kind of in the, well, let's just for fun, we'll just call it the retard zone. When you're in the retard zone, you're digging holes, you're working really, really hard, you're just trying to make a little bit of money just to try and get, and that's not your genius zone. That's you trying to survive in a crazy world and make
Mm.
enough money and learn the lessons to get to a point where you can start really like um going into your genius zone. Your genius zone is very draining. There's only so much time that you can spend in there because it's very powerful work when you're
Mm.
working in your genius zone. And for everybody it's different, totally different, Rob. Like I know
Yeah,
that if you told me what your genius zone is, it would be totally different than me. And I know that I'm still trying to figure this out, but um yeah, I mean, if I could write relationship books with my wife, I honestly feel like, not to be cocky, and I'm always trying not to be cocky, and that's a thing about being in the genius zone. It's like you're kicking ass, and you know that this is your special zone if you recognize it, but you're trying to be humble and not cocky and say like, oh yeah, I know how to do this like
mm.
really, really well. I'm still dealing with that. And different personalities, like somebody that's way more like Raul, when he's in the genius zone, he doesn't have to worry about being unconfident or
Exactly, exactly.
some people just really own it very well, and I'm still working on that. And but it's very important to find that, and I think that's one of the fun things about being middle aged is you start to kind of embrace it more, and
Mm.
then going into the future from 45 to, let's say, 75, that's still 30 years of me with all these incredible golden tools, golden diamond tools that I have now. And I can make a lot of money in the next 30 years, way
Oh yeah.
more than I could ever make from 20 to 30 or 20 to 40,
Mm.
right? These are the golden tools that will help you, as you're sharing with the world, you will be compensated more and more as you figure out the right people to align yourself with, and you will be rewarded uh, with with amazing things that you never thought
Yeah.
was possible.
And don't take it for granted. If you speak 3 languages, if you play guitar, just like for my example, I ride a motorcycle. I do the editing for every stuff that I do with the podcasting on YouTube or Spotify. I do the editing myself, all that stuff. For me, it's normal. But for others, it's so much value that you can learn them or make a business out. I don't want to. Well, money is something that I'm still struggling with. Is a kind of trauma thing, I think, but
Hmm.
I'm working on it right now. The thing is, don't think, don't take uh, your best things or your genius zone for granted, because other people do not have them. They have other special qualities that you can learn from, or what you could look at just like, wow, he can draw very nice, or he can, just like Raul. When I'm talking to Raul, he always wants to play me my guitar, and he spits out this beautiful lyrics, just like that. If I talk to you, we have always deep conversations and stuff like that about everything. There is no bother or a box where we're not going to talk about it. Just like, oh, this is the box. No, we just wanna listen to each other, or learn to each other, and we want to tell other people what to dig into, or what about this. And the funny thing is, I always tell that also to the people that I coach. When I have an advice for you, because I've been through that time, it doesn't mean that you have to do it the same way. An advice, you can do anything with it. You can throw it down the garbage bin if you want to. It's just an advice. And what I figured out, especially for myself, when people tell me what I have to do, it's going to be counterwise. I'm not going to do that. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel with a cause. And so what I tell my students is, okay, I got an advice for you. Try to do this or write some things down. But you know what? There will be no time schedule that you have to get these things done. And they all looked at me just like, what? Yeah, because when I'm going to put a time schedule on it, you probably have somewhere a trauma where somebody said, no, I want you to do that within this and that time. So your trauma is going to kick in like that. And you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that with happiness and gratitude because you are walking against this little wall. And the funny thing is, the most students do the things that I say because they know there's no time schedule behind it. So they come up probably in an earlier time schedule that they have these things done than having something 50-50 in the time schedule that I would give them. Because they notice, hey, wait a minute, I don't have it. Oh, wait, I can relax. I don't have to have any pressure, any stress. But hey, the things that he said, oh, this is probably going to work for me. So I'm going to write things down and stuff like that. And then they come with the stuff. And just like we said, just like Alex said, if you are in your genius zone, whatever that is, that's the zone where time is not there. I don't like time anyway. I tell that a lot of podcasts. I don't like time. Time is for me a dimension that I know when my boss is going to ask me to hop on, in a car and drive around. But in this genius zone, you forget time because there is no time because you are in the moment of yourself. Right?
That is, dude, that you just nailed that. Like that gave me goosebumps. Like when you are in the genius zone, time is gone. You are in like God's world. Like you are doing God's work right there. Like, I mean, that's emotional to even think about that. Like it lights you up that time doesn't matter. Like
No.
that's your joy. That's your joy. That's your, it's like, holy smokes. Like I finally figured out. And I think that's one of the greatest pieces of life is when you get to find that. That's such a gem. And I hope everybody like really appreciates that or looks for that if they're a little bit younger than us right now, you know?
Oh, yeah. And even if people say, oh, there was a bad timing. No, probably when you miss the bus, that's bad timing. You can call that. But guess what? You meet people that you never will meet if you are hopping on a bus on time. So there, there are always things that you can learn and that you experience. So I don't think there is a bad timing. There's always a timing. Timing is always perfect. I was doing podcasting before. I had like 4 or 5 episodes uploaded, and I like to do that. I really like that. But where attention goes, the focus flows, or how they call it. And then I connected to Raul and to you and to Claude from the Firmamental. Shout out for the Firmamental guys, firmamentalpodcast.com. And all of a sudden I had this drive just like, oh man, I really love to talk to several people. The most people I talk on my podcast, I never ever met, which I really love. I really do not know where it's going to go. I don't have a script. Skipping branches like a squirrel, I always say. But that's my genius zone. That's my comfortable zone where time goes. And the last time when we recorded this an episode, it was like 2.5 hours, just like, oh yeah, oh, what's happening? I have some podcasts that last like 4 hours. Why? Because there's no time pressure. Today we have a little time pressure, which I really have to say I'm sorry for that, Alex, because we can talk for hours. But we have a like 2-hour schedule because it's Saturday night and I'm going to have another podcast.
Well, no worries. I actually am in the final stages, so I just have a little bit of
You got three points you want to point out, right?
Yeah, I have a couple things here for the listeners
Take
and
your time.
for you as well.
All the time.
Right, please write this down or go back, rewind and write it down. But so I just have some questions, like rhetorical questions for you too, Rob, because we are time constrained. But what what are our weak points for spiritual attack? And when I say that, I mean our own distractions, are getting in our own ways, whatever your beliefs are, right? If you think the devil is actually attacking you, or demons are attacking you, or whatever, or your mom's attacking you because whatever. But whatever your weak points are for an attack, have you recognized where you can strengthen your defenses?
Mm.
Are you meditating properly? Are you praying? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? If you are exercising, you have less time to overthink things and screw up your own life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I'll leave it at that because I know we're time constrained, but think about your defenses
Mm-hmm.
and where you're vulnerable. And now let's go from disorganized and distracted to organized and
Oh,
focused.
oh,
And that's how we do it on Disorganized Productions.
oh, yeah.
Habits, habits. What are you going to do differently today? You listen to me. You don't have to listen to me, but you made the choice to stick around for almost 2 hours and listen to this crazy Canadian talk about him and his demons. And what are you going to do differently going forward? It's your choice. If you don't do it right after we talk, right after you listen to this,
Mm.
chances are you're not going to do it. If you ever taken a class before, if you ever learned something and you don't implement it immediately, it's gone. It's in the trash.
Yep.
Everything you just sat through in that class, in that workshop, or whatever, you take the good. You always take the good and you implement it within 48 hours, or it might as well go in the trash.
True, true.
That's
Take
number
one
one.
thing. Take one thing that you learned and listened to today that you think you can really resonate with, that you think, oh, yeah, this, what this Canadian guy told just on his podcast, I want to change this. Take not like 4 or 5 things out of it because that's gonna be you're not gonna comprehend that. Take
Yeah,
one. The first step of changing yourself is taking the first step. That's it. And when that goes well, take another one. And then you can scoop it up. And then you can think, hey, wow, I've been working out yesterday. So I want to have my schedule for this week. Oh, wait a minute. Normally I go to the McDonald's and stuff like that. Maybe that's the next step I'm going to do, to eat healthy, and you combine all these things. Then after dinner, normally you are this couch potato, looking at some stupid stuff that they pull up on television. But you know what? If you just had your dinner, clean up your mess directly because you don't have to look at it for the whole goddamn time, just like the evening or the morning when you wake up. Take a walk after you've done that, and after you ate, and when you wash the dishes and stuff like that. And then you will realize that within these 2 hours that you washed the dishes and took a walk, that you still have plenty of time in that day, but you cleaned up so you don't have to look at the stuff that you're lying around, and you worked out because you had some fresh air, you were exercising. That's these are $100 billion tips and advices. Really, it changed my life.
for sure. So like Rob said, just to add to it, just what are you going to start doing consistently on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? You write in your journal. And I always say the best time to plant a seed or plant a tree is 20 years ago. And the next best time is today.
Yep.
So you might as well plant the seed today because it's now. Like that's why you're listening to this right now. It's divine. You're listening to this for a reason. And not to brag, but you should probably listen to this exact podcast episode every 3 months just to remind yourself that the devil's in the distractions. So what are you going to consume now to
Change
help
life.
you? Yeah.
Change life before it changes you.
Yeah. What are
That's
you
it.
going to consume now to grow mentally, to grow physically, to grow spiritually? What are you going to take out of your diet of consuming? And what are you going to put into your diet of consuming? You are not a victim. You are in charge of your life. You don't deserve anything at all. You work for it. You do things intentionally. And that's why you see people striving and doing well because they did the hard things.
Mm.
You get to choose your suffering. You get to choose your suffering. Either you lay on the couch, you get fat, you get unhealthy, you get sick, and you die, or you get up off the couch, you climb a mountain with 50 pounds on your back, and you get 10,000 times stronger than you were the day before. And either way, you choose which way you suffer. So that's for everybody, men and women. So lastly, Rob,
Mm-hmm.
why? Why is the devil distracting us? The question, the $1 million question that everybody wants to know.
Yeah, I want to
And
point. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
and then for me, this is my last point, is the most important reason for the devil to distract me is to keep me away from God, to keep me from fulfilling my life purpose so that I stay as far away from my full potential
Mm.
while I lose everything around me in the process and I blame everyone else for the mistakes that I've made, for my shitty life, for everything. And that's the devil's handiwork.
Amen to that, man. That's exactly my answer, because we have so much potential within us, and that's why I like to walk in nature. You can listen to the other podcasts. When I'm surrounded with nature, I see the creator. I see the energy. I don't have really a belief system, but I believe in God. And a lot of people are just like, going mental, just like, what? Well, whatever. Listen to the other podcast. What I'm trying to say there. But if you are aware that we are being distracted all the time, and when I'm in my genius zone, and even if I'm not in my genius zone, but if I'm alone, all one, I'm so close to the divine, whatever that will be for you. If it's going to be Buddha or Jesus Christ or God or whatever, everyone has his own God, say. Um, but if you know that, and if you notice that, if you experience that, that comes calm, that comes balance and zen in your life. And all the distractions that you hear, the blah, 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 the cars rushing, the news flashing, whatever, silence. Nothing more can make me more happy nowadays than completely silence. And I wake up in the morning like 6 o'clock. The birds are flying and twittering because they open up all the plants. The sun is rising. It makes me so happy. Like 5 years ago, it would make me happy to hit 230 kilometers an hour with my Passat 2-liter diesel to go to another job, to go to another client and stuff like that. Everything was like a bad vibration. But if you're in completely silence, and if you are in balance with yourself, real magic happens. And then you can dig into your genius zone if you didn't figure it out yet. Then you can dig more into that genius zone when you know what your genius zone is. And then time is not there. Time is perception that they gave you. Just like that, we are all different kind of people. Black, white, yellow, red. No, 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 no. We're all human beings. All of us. It doesn't matter where you are on this world. If you walk on your feet and you talk with your mouth and you breathe with your lungs and you connect with your heart, that's it. There's nothing more special about us. But if we are aware of that kind of connection that we have, just like I have now with this beautiful guy here down in Canada, or upstairs in Canada. I'm a little bit more south, but when you have this heart connection that we were talking about, then real magic happens. And I really want to thank you to hop on this podcast, Alex. It's been delighted to talk to you again, and good that you're feeling so energized, and you had some really good stuff you want to discuss with us. I love that, man. Thanks for sharing.
For sure. Just got to be in our genius zone, right, Rob?
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to know more about Alex, I will put some links in the show description. But ladies and gentlemen, he's also 1/3 of the Firmamental Podcast. And this beautiful Canadian dark voice, which has its roots in Europe and in Russia, is also on the Firmamental Podcast. If you want to know more about that, firmamentalpodcast.com. They have some really tremendous shows, really tremendous and interesting guests on there. And it was just like I said, time's flying when you're having fun. It's just like I don't like it anyway, but it's something that I have to be aware of when I do podcasting, because I love this shit, man. I want to do this for, hop on a podcast every single day. That would be great.
It's okay, Rob. We always got to leave them wanting more.
Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be a part 3. We were not going to say when, but there's going to be a part 3 for sure.
Maybe I'll even be there in person.
Oh, that would, oh man. We can, finally we could hug and connect our energies then. Well, sure. Because the energy is now already so wow. If we are really, connecting in real life with all the beautiful people that we're talked to, and that we had on a podcast, and can really connect to them, that would be a nuclear blast, humans.
No spoilers, but I am actually working on something very, very big with our boy Billy Bonds. So stay tuned, my friend.
Oh, stay tuned, fellow humans. I hope you enjoyed this show. Think about it. 7 things that were talked about. Think about your lust, your gluttony. Yeah, it's sometimes I struggle with the word gluttony, right? Greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. That was a very nice lesson from my dear fellow human, Alex Pauls. I hope you all enjoyed. If you are, just like I said, Alex, thank you for your time hopping on Disorganized Productions. Hopefully people are going to be a little bit more organized. And for everyone that's listening, have a beautiful morning, a beautiful day, or beautiful evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet.
Running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. I've been running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light and hold me tight. I've been running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light and hold me tight.